Hello everyone, my name is Steven with a V, or as some of you like to call me, V, and welcome to Storytime. Today we're going to be reading some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, tales of some of the most awkward, frustrating, or otherwise inconvenient exchanges one could have. And let me just say, if you're not already subscribed to Storytime, please consider doing so, but with that being said, let's sit back, relax, and listen to some captivating Reddit stories. Don't mess with my grandma, Karen. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, so she often doesn't know where she is or who is with her. I know for a fact that she has no idea who I am, therefore I make an effort to call her Grandma multiple times in any sitting or activity we participate in. Recently, I noticed she needed her hair and nails done as the color in both those areas was fading or chipped, so I made an appointment with a family member who owns a beauty salon and took her there. Normally, customers are those waiting for someone to sit in the front area and rarely accompany a person they came with inside the actual salon floor. So, I understand why assumptions were made, but still, don't mess with my grandmother. I was on the salon floor with my grandmother, sitting in a seat in front of her while my cousin colored her hair. I was there to make sure to keep her calm and engaged while her hair and nails were being done. She was telling me the same story she had told me 10 times in the last 10 minutes. Bless her heart. When I felt someone behind me. Now we were in the farthest corner of the room, not near a bathroom or wash station, so there was really no reason someone should be behind me. My grandmother stops talking and looks behind me. Grandma, chipper as ever.
Hi, are you another grandchild?
No, I am not. And why are you not working? There is a line over there. Me, upon realizing she is talking to me, say over my shoulder, I don't work here. Now I can believe that. You are on the floor, which means you work here. She's talking to me condescendingly, and I do not take that sort of tone well. Neither does my grandmother. In a moment of clarity, I watch that bright, chipper smile fall and a glimpse of my brainiac grandmother peek through. I shoot a warning glance at my cousin who was pursing her lips to keep from laughing prematurely.
Well, by your own logic, my dear, you must be a worker. Go get me a new Coke, would you? That's a good honey punch.
Karen starts sputtering and my grandma laughs. The chipper look returns to her face and she says,
Hi, are you one of my grandchildren?
As Karen stomps off in her loud high heels, my grandma turns and says loudly,
I guess not. My grandchildren are not witches.
Oh my god, I love my grandma. I don't know where Karen went. I wasn't really paying attention after that. I absolutely loved hearing this story where the moment of clarity strikes through at the most perfect time to completely shut down this Karen, and the snapback at the end that was great. Not everyone in a suit wants to sell you a car. I'm a practicing attorney in an area known for a certain degree of rudeness being inherent to the local population. This incident occurred earlier today and I just got the time to type this out. Just to set the stage, I wear a suit until I go to bed, and I'm just over 6 feet and 250 pounds. I own a heavily modified car, so I take it to the performance shop. I had to do modifications every 2,000 miles or so for technical inspections and to dial in the tune. With the changing season and a few new components, we moved it to once every 500 miles to make sure everything's all proper, which means I'm having the car in for a look over just about each week since I commute around 40 miles. Across the street from the shop is a dealership for very high-end cars. Specifically, one side serves a high-end British automaker known for ultra-luxury work and an Italian brand known for being gaudy. I'm a bit of a gearhead, so I've taken to walking across the street to chat up the employees and to see if there's anything exciting enough for me to want to get a model car up for my desk in their inventory. I'm on good terms with the staff since a couple of them are former clients for rather exciting speeding tickets and the like, and my girlfriend is a sales representative at an Audi dealership in the same network. I'm examining a gorgeous green coupe and waiting for a coffee an employee had gone to get since these dealerships have expensive coffee machines and dang it, they're gonna use them, especially for a friend. I feel the tap on my shoulder and turn around only to find what could be described as just under 5 feet of dark skin wrapped around silicone in the vague facsimile, looking at me with mild impatience and attired in booty shorts and some sort of almost inadequate crop top in colors that can be described as a violent and sticky violation of one's eye sockets, and a pair of worryingly high heels. Just to be clear, in most cases, prospective customers make an appointment so that product specialists can devote their full attention to the needs of a client. At this moment, us and a local Instagrammer were the only people on the showroom floor. "Can I help you?" I ask. A mistake, to be sure, but an easy one to make when you get through law school on customer service jobs. This entity proceeds to ask questions of me about the SUV offering of this brand, power, engines, what can fit in it, that sort of stuff. Being a gearhead, I actually knew many of the things she asks, or can refer to a piece of laminated paper on a nearby example. Then she asks me for a test drive. Firstly, I don't work there, and secondly, I don't believe test drives happen for that level of car without one having already contracted to buy it. I attempt to answer with an, "I'm sorry ma'am, but I cannot do that as I don't work here." This does not fly. She raises her voice and interrupts me before I can inform her of my lack of employment at the establishment.
It's because I'm black, isn't it?
Was what passed from the most definitely augmented lips. Firstly, no, and secondly, I don't work here. I try to be concise, already shifting into a mode of how I speak when speaking to the court.
"Listen here, you deceitful, racist mother freaker."
Her words, not mine.
"I've seen you up in here talking with the salesman."
I remember that unneeded plural very clearly.
"And I know you work with them, so let me test drive this car, and I'll forget about how rude you've been."
She starts approaching very close at this point. "Ma'am, I don't work here, and if I did, it would be hard to get a test drive I would be interrupted by one hand adorned with pink claws, grabbing me by my necktie and dragging me down to her level. I remind you that I am 6'1" and 250 pounds, and my head had been jerked down a good foot. My glasses fall to the floor.
"Shut the freak up, and get me those dang keys before I tell your manager."
It's at this point my friend returns to the showroom with coffee from the attached dealership and witnesses this goblin assailing his friend. He strides over, puts on a wide smile, and asks, "What's wrong?" She turns on her heel, resulting in a rather unpleasant crunch as said heels crushes the lens of my glasses. I didn't quite catch her rant directed at the real employee, but I did finally have enough of this. I pulled my card from my pocket, thrust it in her face, and spoke with the same voice I use in court to make conclusions, and the same little smile. "Ma'am, I do not work here. I am an attorney who is friends with several employees here. I just answered your questions because I love the products of brand and I knew some of the things about it. Now, I'm going to ask that either you hand over a check for $600 to cover damages you have inflicted upon my glasses, or I will get the police involved for the battery you performed upon my person." I then crossed my arms, and after a moment of looking between me and the door and the security cameras, she sighs and surprisingly pulls out a checkbook and writes me a check for the damages. I put it in my pocket and observed the general manager of the dealership, who had seen it happen on camera, rush out and ban her on the spot for assaulting somebody in his dealership before security, who had been holding back until the manager gave word, escorted her out. The manager apologized profusely and gave me a fancy paperweight for free for my troubles. I thanked him and left after drinking the coffee. I got my prescription sunglasses from my car so I'd be able to safely drive before calling up my boss, one of the partners of the firm, to tell him my side of the events in case she tried something with the card I gave her. I took the check to her bank once the adjustments on my car were done, and surprisingly, it cashed out without incident. I'm going to the optometrist tomorrow to get new glasses, and according to my girlfriend, she actually got the notice at her dealership to deny service to that cretin as well. So all's well that ends well. What an incredible character. Just so hyper-aggressive, just so unnecessary, and so quick to jump to conclusions too. But in the end, the check checked out, so indeed, all's well that ends well. Grocery store visit ending with a satisfying arrest. 3 years ago, I was at the local grocery store with my college friends. A little side note, I am autistic and it is very uncomfortable to me when others touch me or speak to me aggressively. My friends went to the chips aisle to search for a particular brand of chips they liked, while I went to gather ingredients for queso. It's important to note that I was wearing a green shirt in the same shade employees wore, but I was also wearing ratty jeans and sneakers. The scene is set. The single 19-year-old gangly female reaching for some microwavable cheese blocks. Suddenly, I am whirled around by what I can only describe as a Karen harpy from heck. Poorly dyed black hair, spray on tan, the works. Entitled Karen says,
You, where are the gardening supplies? I've been looking everywhere for an employee, and here you are, probably not on break.
Oh, this is a grocery store, ma'am. They most likely don't stock supplies for gardening. Also, I don't work here. Employees wear green shirts with black vests and name tags. Entitled Karen scoffs.
Bo, you're new, aren't you? Didn't listen during training? Well, I'm going to find your manager, and you, little missy, are coming with me.
At this point, the freakish expletive grabs my upper arm hard and practically drags me from my intended purchase. I'm shocked, scared, and eventually my brain realizes this is a danger zone situation, and I start struggling and telling her to let me go calmly but firmly. Ma'am, please, I don't work here. Even if I did, this is a store name. They don't stock gardening tools. I am cut off by her sharply striking my face. She peers at me as if I'm some troublemaking, lazy teen that has gone unnoticed in the workplace.
Listen, young lady, where I come from, we had to work our butts off to get where we are. You parading around acting like you're on break is going to come to an end with me. Understand? Now be a good girl for once and let me talk to your boss.
I wait, tearing up quietly on a bench while my friends run up to me. They comfort me with one of them saying that I should press charges for assault. Heck yes, I'm charging this expletive. The manager walks over, assessing my appearance, and tells the idiot that hit me that no, I do not work here. Before Entitled Karen can retort, I speak up. Sir, this woman has hit me and made threats against me. Can you call the police and have them see the security footage? The manager looks shocked. Ma'am, is this true?
Certainly not. This little jerk told me to get lost when I was asking for assistance.
What a piece of rancid poop. Well, this is a serious accusation, so I'm calling the cops anyway. The Karen turns tail and bolts. I can almost hear her fake tan butt cheeks clapping in the wind. My friends manage to coerce me into leaving the store, and we go back to my apartment to eat and watch TV. Later, I got a house call from the cops with Entitled Karen in handcuffs. Turns out she had been shoplifting in that store for little under a month by coercing younger college-age employees to check her out and forget to ring up things like expensive cuts of meat, bottles of wine, etc. The employees were all too scared to do anything because she had a photo ID of the regional manager, who was her brother, and she claimed he would fire them if anything was reported. I told the cops my statement and they took it straight to her brother, who, despite being close to her, pressed charges for theft, assault, and other grievances. From what I can tell, the Karen goes in and out of jail these days for minor crimes. What a nasty woman. Just totally despicable, manipulative, abusive, preying on these younger teens, grabbing them and pulling them off to the counter so that she can secretly steal items. Just a terrible, terrible story, and I'm glad that it ended up with her behind bars. I am in sweatpants. I don't work at Joanne's. Wholesome IDWHL. So I'm currently in the process of making baby blankets for a bunch of friends. So as usual, I'm off to my neighborhood Joanne's. Again, I like to dress comfortably in my crafty downtime. Today I'm wearing gray sweatpants with a hole in them, a black oversized t-shirt, my Boba Fett hoodie is wrapped around my waist, clogs, no bra, and the finishing touch, my bright pink headphones to stop people from talking to me. As I'm looking around, I grab some blanket bindings to compare with different fabrics. I get some fabrics cut, some thread, a new set of needles, so my arms are a bit full. I decided not to buy the bindings on this trip, and since I spent a few years in retail and I'm not a jerk, I take the blanket binding back and put it away on its shelf. Then once again, I feel the tap on my shoulder. I turn and see two older ladies, possibly Pacific Islander. One gets very close to my face, but she is smiling in a very friendly voice, asks where she can find some item I've never even heard of. I just stare because I'm so confused. I tell her I don't know what that is. She then tries to explain. It's some kind of thread to help sew lace, but I'm still lost and I can see she's beginning to get annoyed at my ignorance. It finally clicks. I say, I don't work here. She blinks, looks at me, and then she and her friend burst into laughter. She immediately apologized. She said she saw me put the binding away and just assumed I was restocking. Sorry, there's no epic karmic justice. I'm wondering if I should start posting pictures of my clothes,
Cause I still don't know how you could possibly think I work at Joanne's when I constantly look like I just rolled out of bed and don't wear a uniform. Personally, as somebody that isn't so socially, I guess, extroverted, this is my nightmare. Where if somebody comes up to me constantly all the time, regardless if I'm even looking like I'm supposed to be there, and assumes I'm working there asking these questions, I would hate that. But I'm glad this story is just a small, sweet little story and it was just an honest misunderstanding. And hopefully OP's baby blankets all turned out really well. And with that being said, that's all the time we have for today's stories. Thank you all for listening and watching the Storytime channel. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. And leave any feedback you can in the comments below. We appreciate it, and again, this is Steven with a V signing off. Thank you all for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.